Alrighty. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Drama School Diaries. If this is your first time joining us, listening in, my name is Kenny. I'm one of the co-hosts. I'm here with my two other friends, Maravik and Tania. Ladies, do you want to introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Tennille. Great to see you today.
Hello, I'm Maravik. Hi, everybody. Looking good.
And again, if this is the first time that you're tuning in, the whole purpose of this podcast is to connect with people from an arts educational background and just kind of share how that arts journey affected their success and basically just their whole walk through life and what that kind of experience has done for them. Each of us have our own backgrounds in the arts. I myself went to LACHSA, the Los Angeles County High School for the Arts, with Maravik back in the day. And then from there, I went on to study abroad at a conservatory in London where I studied musical theater, and I continued on as a performer for a while, but I've switched things up. But I think I've got all this pent up creative energy as well with Tennille and Maravik. So we decided to do something with that and talk to other people. But maybe you ladies can share a little bit about like what your background is too in the arts.
I met Kenny working, as many performers do, in the service industry. We were making use of our talents in that area. One of the great things about having trained as an actor, I trained undergrad. It wasn't my goal to go into acting, but I had some really great theater professors. Reginald Bain was one, and Carol McLeod at the University of Notre Dame. They really sparked this interest in not just the performance, but in the training and the developing of the skills. So then I went on to grad school at the Institute for Advanced Theater Training at Harvard. It's a program that the American Repertory Theater does in conjunction with the Moscow Art Theater School. So a really great
Nice.
training program. Yeah, so I got to study in Russia. I got to perform on Chekhov's stage, focus on the word, on the text, and bringing that to life was something that I really gravitated towards. So yeah, that was a bit of my
I love
background.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you, Marav?
Awesome. Well, before LACHSA, I went to a middle school that had a drama program. And my drama teacher actually was the one who encouraged me, Miss Lavoie, to audition for LACHSA. And then after that, I went on to go to the University of California, Irvine, and study drama. And then I did fashion school after that, actually, but more so focused on like management and apparel manufacturing. I wanted to learn business as well as have an artistic background. So, but I've been doing film and TV for the last 15 years. I also performed with the Nevada Shakespeare Festival in Las Vegas. Henderson area. And yeah, just continuing my journey here back in LA after being elsewhere for the last 20 years. So super excited to reconnect and learn more about how the arts change people's lives.
Yeah, amazing. And so if that's for anybody that's tuning in or just kind of getting to know us or our mission, you can see we're not just, advocates, but we also are artists ourselves. And I'm really excited today about today's guest, actually. I'm a little nervous as well. It's been a while. This is somebody that went to high school with Maravik and I as well back in the day in the 90s at the Los Angeles County High School for the Performing Arts. He's had a really just amazing career professionally since then. And he's gone on to do a lot of things, including being on Broadway in Jersey Boys. He's been in Hairspray. He's now touring with a group called the Midtown Men. But he is someone that I'm really excited to kind of get to know and to talk with about his experience with, growing up and training. So let's see if we can let him in. Yeah, shall we? His name is Michael Longoria. Hello,
Hey,
Mike. How are you?
I'm good. How's everybody doing? Everybody's in their own space. I love
Yeah,
technology.
I know. Welcome to our world of like virtual. This is kind of one of our first times doing this. We've been doing it mostly in studio. So you're not one of our first, but you're definitely like in that beginning guinea pig stage. So I appreciate
love it.
you putting up with all of our technical difficulties. I know there was some struggles getting on right there for you, but thank you for being able to join us today.
I am here. Yes, I'm all about it. How's it going?
Okay. So, well, you know Maravik, of course. I am sure you remember
course.
her from back in the day. But I guess what we'll do is we'll start out for everybody that doesn't know a little segment we kind of like to open things up called like state your name and where did you train. So maybe if you can give us a little bit of a brief introduction of who you are and maybe where you started out your kind of arts education?
Well, my name is Michael Longoria. I'm in New York City right now and grew up in Los Angeles, California, as you all know. I started singing mariachi music with my mom when I was a little boy. I didn't really know how to speak Spanish. Music was kind of the gateway to just kind of like, it was a gateway to sing music. The thing about mariachi music, though, is there's an emotionality about it and a storytelling within the melodies. Like, even as a child, not knowing the language, they kind of like, I knew the story, like you could kind of feel the emotion. So that was the beginning of my arts education. And then, when I was in like junior high school, one of the principal was like, there's this arts magnet, you should think about. I was like, okay, so they just like planted a seed, and I didn't know anything about it. It was seemed unattainable to me. Then the following year, I went to like another magnet for my ninth grade year, and it was called iPoly, and it was like the first year they were doing it. It hadn't been accredited yet, and it was like this big international studies like it was like a gimmick, right? But
Mm.
there, I met a young woman named Tamara Hunter, who you all know, who was also at that arts magnet, and her mother was teaching at LACHSA. So teaching
Okay.
English and teaching dance. And and at that time, LACHSA was only accepting kids starting sophomore year, starting 10th grade. So I was in the ninth grade. So I didn't even, again, not on my radar. And I hadn't even known, like Tamara didn't even mention anything really about LACHSA or anything. She just said one day in February, my mom wants to take some of us to the school that she teaches at, where they're doing a Black History Month presentation, and we're like, oh, okay, so like we're gonna go meet with Tamara. We're gonna go see this. I had no idea what it was. Okay, so what it is and actually what it was is it's all student run, student produced, written, choreographed, sung, performed. And in this specific moment, it was about Black history. So they were putting on skits and dances and, Alvin Ailey moments. And
Mm.
anyway, like I'm from this, other side of the world where I think mariachi music is the only music that exists, right? So I'm going to this, because I had my exposure was very limited. So I'm going to this art school. All of a sudden, we're on the Cal State LA campus. It's this huge campus. We sit down, and all I know is all they told me was that this is what the students are producing. Okay. So we get there, and it was this like magical, just like crazy, beautiful performance story. Everything was clear. It was informative about the history. And it was also like everybody on stage was my age. And I was like, how is this possible? You know what I mean? Like, I was like, wait, how is this possible? Like, I thought I was the only person that sang, Yeah. Again, limited experience. But then all of a sudden there they were like singing and dancing. And every culture, every race was on stage performing
Mm.
for this Black History Month presentation. And it was like so eye opening and so like, I don't know, magical, right? So then the next year I was eligible to perform or to audition. And so I auditioned with a Selena song. Oh my gosh. I can't believe I was singing. That's where I was. Like that was what my influence was. But I sang a song in Spanish from Selena before the movie came out. And then all of a sudden there I was, like performing or like, studying LACHSA. So I went to LACHSA, then I went to NYU after that. And now I'm in New York. But that was my LACHSA, how I got into the arts program
You
there.
did 3 years, right? Both you and Maravik did 3, like, because
Yeah,
like, back
Yes,
then,
I know
yes.
the
that as
school was, I
well.
think, just is it sophomore, junior, senior, I think it
Exactly,
was.
yeah.
I was not lucky enough to do that with you. I came in on my junior year, so I only got the last 2 years, but yeah, that would have I can't even imagine what that must have been like, because coming in my junior year, I mean, we were just talking about this the other day when we were interviewing somebody else from LACHSA, but I was singing like a background track from like a His Eye is on the Sparrow, like a church song,
Yes,
something I
that's
was
right,
doing at
yeah.
church. It was like, I always find it interesting to find where you came up with the song, but so you were already singing, you were already doing that stuff with your family. They were encouraging it, basically.
Well, it was more like it was a cultural thing,
Mm,
like it was part of the culture, like, and in my household, it was like, "Oh, we sing and we sing this music, like
mm.
these,
Mm.
not, I almost said Antonio Banderas, but not Antonio Banderas, but we sing, whoever they were, like different specific mariachi stars at the time. And, That's all that I knew. And Selena, I think the reason why I connected with her was beyond being gay, but no, was because I think she was like the bridge between the two cultures, right? Like
Mm.
you could tell like she was doing some English stuff and she was, of our generation. She was older than us, but it was still like she was singing pop stuff, but she was also part of the culture of a different culture that I was familiar with. So I think that's kind of like why I was into that at the
Mm.
time. But yeah.
How do you feel like, because this is something I also think is interesting, and because we were there sort of at the same time, and you were part of, strangely, my experience
Right.
at that time, what do you feel it was coming from? You mentioned a gay background, like being gay. Like, was it, did you come from a school where you were like,
I think
nobody to somebody or something like that, because we kind of shift our interests?
Well, I think when I first walked onto the LACHSA campus, I was still part of like my guarded culture, like me feeling like, I had to like keep my eye open, keep like
Hmm.
look
Yeah.
because like it was a rough. I mean, I don't know, like it seemed like it was a rough time, and even now, like as an adult, like thinking back, it was some rough shit we had to walk through and see just like kind of like be a part of like a lot of violence going on in
Mm.
the '90s and gang violence and um culture violence. It was just weird. I mean, it's still like stuff like that is happening now, but like I think back then, like the gay thing was just kind of like you keep this quiet. But when I got to LACHSA, I remember still keeping that guard up and not really. And I was too young to really know like what I wanted, like gay or straight or anything like that. But most people at that time were pushing it on me. But I remember just going to LACHSA seeing that there was a plethora of different expressions. There were gay people, straight people, bi people, people with red hair, pink hair, green. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mhm.
It was like Oz, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, okay, like it's cool to like discover who you are. The way that I did it was by like purchasing red velvet platform shoes. You know what I mean? Like doing
I
doing stuff
remember
like
those
that. Like
shoes.
you remember them, right? I did school. The only time I ever did school was to go to Melrose and get those shoes. And the only place I felt safe wearing them was at LACHSA.
Oh, I love that. You said the only place you felt safe to wear those shoes was at LACHSA.
I'm telling you, they were red velvet platform shoes. Before it was cool to wear that. I was like, ding, ding,
Yeah.
So at a really formative time, you got to develop your own sense of style, but not just style, like, I guess, being based on what
Mhm.
you were seeing, like things are possible. Did it just,
Things are possible. Other people are pushing the boundaries way farther than I. Like the furthest that I did was like put sun in my hair, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm gonna be blonde. People are gonna call me out. And you know what? Truthfully, people did where I came from. There was some like hatred towards anything that was different than the norm. So like if I had like frosted tips, like at that time,
that was
like
like,
I'd be called
whoa,
out.
mind blowing?
Yeah,
But
like crazy mind blowing. You know what I mean? Like, and which is, it sucks that a child would have to go through that. I was like 15 when stuff like that would happen to me, and I would be like, oh gosh. But then when I would get to LACHSA, it was like, yeah, it was like the place that I felt safe. But better believe when I got back on that bus, those platform shoes went back in my bag, and I put on my normal shoes.
Baby steps in
Yeah,
our platform
because
shoes.
like I don't know. And the thing that's weird is like I don't even know if how much of that was in my head. You know what I mean? How much of it was like
Yeah.
I'm
Self-imposed.
protecting self protection as you know what I mean? Like maybe everybody would have been cool if I was walking around those around home. I don't know. I mean, but my instinct says that no. Like so you always have to trust the truth. But
yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
Loxo was
I
cool
can
like
tell you
that.
though, it's infectious though. So I completely understand. Like when I got there, you'd probably already been there for about a year. And I remember being like, oh, hey, there's another guy my age doing what I'm doing with the same interest, and I was like, totally enthralled by the fact that you seemed so much more comfortable than I did, but I also felt like that's what that school did for you. Like the school made
Yeah.
you become more comfortable, and it is so true because you did have really good style. And I do remember one time I showed up with a jacket, like a blue jacket, and you had one just like it, and it had never occurred to me, to be honest. This is I'm 15, 16, and you said something to me like, did you get that jacket because I got that jacket, something like that. I remember being like, no, God, you're your soap? No. And then I thought about it and I was like, probably,
Yeah.
like in the back of my mind, I was
The
like, that
original
jacket looked good. I'm going to get,
influencer.
because you don't have your own style and your own
That's so
thing. So you're
funny.
copying and you're taking from other people, and you
Well, there was
guys
like
may not.
there's
Sorry?
a good thrift store games back then. I don't know if you guys went, like all the high school kids, we'd all just go to the thrift stores, get bell bottoms, and like,
Yep.
Yeah, I
that was
can't
one of the things
remember
to
what his
do.
name was, but we used to go there. Jet Rag, was it? Every
Jet Rag was
Saturday
like
they
a
had, I
dollar
Yeah.
think they
then.
still have that sale.
Oh
But
my
yeah,
gosh.
it
They
was like
do?
everything was a
Now we can
dollar or
afford it.
something. Yeah.
Now we
You
can
said now I
afford it.
can't
I
afford
remember back then being like, I could buy one pair of socks.
No, they would have like a bunch of trash bags outside and you could root through them, and every piece you could
Yeah.
find was a dollar or something like that. I'm sure it's like
Yeah.
$30 now, but
Yeah. It's like everything.
because
Yeah,
we kind of old.
exactly.
Okay, all right. So going back then, so yeah, I mean, and you guys won't. What was it like too? Because basically, Maravik may remember, but when you were at school, I just remember you were really popular. Everybody, you were that go-to person. So was that really? Did you come from a school where you kind of didn't maybe fit in so well because of your arts, but then you got here and it suddenly everybody saw you, or were you just always popular?
You talking about Mavic, right?
No, I'm talking about you.
Me? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
That is so.
Um,
Oh wow.
I don't think I was. I mean, I think that like I think if anything, when you met me, that I had some. Oh, wait, let me actually think. There was some major thing that happened to me then. Yes. Okay. So I believe that was around the time that I got accepted into like this like high school program at NYU. It was like a 4 week
Mm,
intensive program in the summer.
yeah.
And, either that or it's like either that or like I started training every summer. I did something to stay kind of like out of trouble. Not that I was ever into trouble, but stay like into the arts. Like after freshman year, or after sophomore year, I got put into like the ballet program at
Mm.
Cal State. So I was like studying with all the people that were getting college credit, and not knowing anything about ballet, but I was like, having to keep up with everybody. And then the following summer, I did the NYU program. So there were certain things that like I think I was finally discovering who I was and walking in my light when I was not able to before. Because before, it was like a lot of these different social constructs that you kind of have to like survive in and not really show too much of yourself. And then LACHSA's all like this program really encourages you to explore that, right? So I think I was just kind of like living in that kind of divine, like this is heaven. It really was heaven for me, like
Mm.
LACHSA. So like maybe what you saw and felt was my complete joy that I was experiencing when, I hadn't been given that in any other educational program. Like all my other.
At that point and at that
Yeah.
age, did you already know like this is because I think I do remember you going to that NYU program. And I remember we were like enjoying our summer doing stupid stuff that kids do during the summer. And you were off at NYU doing this intensive program. And I just remember being like, I'm into it, but I don't think I'm that into it. And it also reminds me of something that was like probably one of my most hilarious and embarrassing stories for me was we were going for the same show, Fame, at the same
Oh
time
gosh.
for a role. And when we showed up for the
He's getting it all
auditions,
out.
I know you saying you had all, like, you knew everything, like you had studied and you'd looked at it. And it's so
Oh.
embarrassing for me. I remember going to the director or something afterwards and being like, who learns the song before an audition? Like, who does that? Like, I had no experience. And literally, that's what everybody does, right? But that's why I
Yeah.
was like, that's my most embarrassing story is that I actually went to somebody and was like, what? But how did you know? Like, I didn't know then. How did you know, hey, I'm going to work really hard. I'm dedicated. I'm going to study all this stuff.
I
Like,
mean, I
what gave you
didn't,
that fire?
I really didn't. I think it was just like certain opportunities kind of presented themselves and I just took them. Like, and as opposed to being like, maybe, like the ballet thing, for example, it was after I did West Side Story and Miss Hunter was like, oh, you should apply for this program. Maybe they'll take a high school kid, you don't know. And I'm sure she must have said, hey, accept this person, so somehow I got into this program and it kind of just like, oh, okay, well, this is an opportunity. I guess I'm going to go do this for the next 4 weeks,
Mm,
similar to at the NYU program, a friend of mine, Jen Bishop actually told me about this program and she's like, I'm applying to this thing. You should apply with me. I was like, no, I don't think so. I don't have the money for it. Oh, that's fine. Let's just apply. So we both applied and then I ended up getting in I was like, "Oh gosh, I have to go?" Like, okay." So then it became an opportunity that was like, "Well, are you gonna take it or you're not?" You know? So
Can I
Yeah.
I
tell
took it.
you, as you say that, there are a couple of things, especially that, oh, I don't have the money for it. And I can
Yeah.
think of things at certain points I didn't try for because of whatever thing. And just
Yeah.
as you're saying that, it's such a powerful, like, try, figure it out after, but
Yeah.
try for the things that you want. It's such a, you learn that as you age, but to be able to go with that in the moment, that is really a great gift. And it seemed like you almost had like a rubber band effect. It was almost like a necessity to stay in the world that made you so happy and allowed you to be
Right.
truly you.
Right.
And so
That's
you were
true,
like
yeah.
finding ways to stay in that world as opposed to have to snap back to where you have to be regimented and hide
Right, and kinda, like, just exist in somebody
and
else's
kind of
reality,
exist.
really,
It's
like, as
mm,
children, and we something that I'm like, it's probably because of TikTok. Like TikTok, like messes with you so much. Like all the videos that they send you, you're like, oh my god, I couldn't believe I haven't thought of it this way. But I feel like like when you're a child, you're in somebody else's reality, right? And then when you start to break out, and you're kind of self manifesting your own reality. Whether it's like I'm gonna apply to this high school for the arts, and then and you're like, what would it be like if I got in? And then I'm gonna get in, and then you get in, and then all of a sudden you're there, and you're like you're living this different reality. And then yes, we did have to snap back because at the end of the day, we're under the father and mother that you're being raised by, right? So you snap back to that other reality. But you know that there's this other reality that you self manifested already. Like there's this other world that exists. Like screw this world, and at every opportunity I can get, I'm going to go to this other place where all these other beautiful people exist that want the same thing, who are also, without maybe realizing, self manifesting the same thing, right? This artistic world where I'm not in this normal place in California. All of a sudden, I'm like putting on a play, and it's a good play, and it's like with talented people, and that, like, that's just the journey to get there, right? But then in the art is where like we discover different ways of existing, right? So like if you get a part in a play that is a person that you've never thought about being, and all of a sudden you're in their circumstances, that empathy that you learn, that world that you discover, wait, there's, even if you like fake it, you believe in that moment, I'm really this person, I'm this character, for yourself, this expression, like those words that you speak are things that maybe you needed to speak, or that you
Uh,
adult waiting to become needs to like learn about, right? Like a certain song of like losing somebody. As a child, you don't know that yet, but all of a sudden you're singing it and your soul is experiencing it, and all of a sudden you're like, oh,
you find
I
this
know what it feels like
empathy.
to lose. Yeah. So
Yes.
like that experience in the arts education is beyond. I think that is the most valuable, is being able to experience those other worlds, whether it's in dance and movement, and you're telling a story, the fox that got injured, or whatever it is. Like you're able to like take yourself out of your reality, and kind of create this other world with your art and your talent, obviously. But as a child, I think it's a gift, and it's like a special thing that we all got to experience, where we could really discover these other worlds at a young age.
Yeah,
And
I
to
think
yeah.
me, that
no,
is the, I'm so sorry. Go ahead, Maravich,
No,
because
sorry.
that's
No,
the
I
eight.
think
That's why we
y-
want to do this. Just
yeah,
everything you said.
yeah, the amount of
awesome.
discipline that we kind of had to conjure up as like young people doing our academics and then going to rehearsals, that translated because when I saw you in Jersey Boys during a matinee,
Yes, you
we had
came. I
lunch
remember.
afterwards. And then you're like, okay, I have to go and vocal rest. I have to shut up now because I have an 8 o'clock show. And I was like, oh my God, the level of discipline that you must have to be on Broadway and to sing 8 days a week. Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, I just admire you for that, and I
Oh,
admire
Uh,
you
thanks.
for
Well, that was
pursuing.
hell on earth. Like, just for the record, like,
Huh?
I said that was hell on earth, to like have to like. I mean, it was beautiful on stage, but then like to have to shut it down like that. I would have loved to have like like spent the night dancing with
Mhm.
you and like celebrating, and you know what I mean, and like
Yeah, yeah,
all that. But you're right. In order to survive the next show,
Ye-
I had to be like, all right, zip it up, going,
yep.
silence for the next several, like 12 hours, and that is what it takes in order to have like the best possible show, because like you're trying to heal your body, you're trying to like, it's this whole thing. So that is something that you learn to just kind of deal with, right? Because it would be awesome if you could just like rehearse, and then just put on one awesome show and be like, all right, I'm good. But no, you have to like you got to come back tomorrow and do
Yeah.
it again, so
Right.
it is a weird
I
discipline for
think
sure.
that's one of the hardest things that I found back from my performance days and singing was that really just, I didn't have that dedication to be like, I wanted to do other things and not always have to worry about my voice. And I don't think people realize how difficult singing is. It's a muscle and it's just, how
Yeah.
much you have to kind of prep to do certain things. I think a lot of people just expect you to go like sing like it's the American Idol like generation, and they just think that you can do it on the spot. And I'm like, I
Oh my
haven't
God.
warmed up yet. I need some
Or lip
Well,
lemon and
syncing
tea.
you could do it on a
generation.
spot though. I mean, Kenny, you probably still have your whistle notes. So I remember Kenny was a big belter.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here with us on Drama School Diaries. We'd really appreciate it if you could like and subscribe wherever you listen, whether it's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any platform you prefer. And also, don't forget to follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/Drama School Diaries. That's where we'll be sharing our news, sneak peeks, and all kinds of exciting updates. We have so much planned and we can't wait to bring it to you.
But wait, okay, so we've moved up, we jumped ahead, so I want to kind of transition there. And so you did NYU, and did you feel like
Yes.
that was a big like change from LACHSA, or was LACHSA a stepping stone to getting into there?
You mean the high school program or the actual going to NYU?
Going to NYU. I mean,
Okay.
you did NYU as for school.
Right. Well, it was like, what's weird? It's like, it's just one of those things where like one door, it was like one opportunity presented itself and I was like, try it and apply for it. And then you get accepted. Okay. Now how am I going to pay for it?
Yeah.
So it was a lot of that, like balancing the dream of like, wouldn't it be nice if I got in and wouldn't, and like you were saying earlier, not worrying about how I'm going to pay for it. Maybe it was my ignorance and, like not realizing, oh, wait, this is going to like cost a lot of money to go, like, but it was also like, there was no choice. It was like, after I did the summer high school program at NYU, well, actually, I had mentors. This is what's important about arts education, but also like having older people guide you, right?
Thank
Hmm.
you for
So
saying that. Yeah.
when I went to that high school program, the 4-week program, I sang a song. Like they hey, sing this. I sang a song from chess. I had no idea what chess was. Later, I would fall in love with chess, but it was Anthem, right? And it was for this vocal performance course. It was like once or twice a week, and the man was like, "I love you." That's what he said. He always tells the story like it's very charming when he says it. But he's like, this straight older man, like went to Juilliard for piano years ago, back in the 60s, and like was teaching at NYU, is teaching all these kids. And he said he felt something when I sang. I don't know, like, all I was doing what I knew right from LACHSA. I was like, give my all and sing the song. So that was his first response. So because of that, he kind of took me under his wing and it was like, one time after class, he's like, tell me about your home life. Tell me about, what's going on. And so, I opened up to him and told him that I was going to LACHSA. Like, I would love to go to school. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I didn't really have any support with my father. He was not really into musical theater. He thought it was weird that I was doing it. He was more like a baseball kind of fan,
Mm.
This guy would check in with me. He would, it was back in the day when phone calls were the only way to go, and to call
Mm-hmm.
212 was expensive. Like you'd call 212 and you'd be
Actual
like a
long distance.
big,
Yeah.
yeah, it would be like, oh, don't call it, But he would call me from New York and he'd be like, all right, so this year for your SATs, you have to have this or higher. And
Amazing
I'm
and
going to
wonderful.
send you the application for NYU. He literally mailed me the application. He probably printed it out somewhere, right? Mailed me one application. I filled it out myself, like I did everything I needed to do. And he kept calling me being like, so how are those grades coming along? How are you? These are when the auditions are. Are you going to get there? It was all this thing. Like he was kind of like mentoring me, making sure that I was going to do it, And somehow I got the money to get on a plane and go to audition. A friend of mine was also going to audition for other schools. So we all went together and we shared a hotel room.
So
Auditioned and I got in, but it was that. It was like somebody else kind of like saying,
that
hey, this is
mentorship,
how you do it.
someone who's done it, because oftentimes if no one has walked that path and you're trying to do it for the first time, if you're first generation
Yeah.
anything, it's
Yeah.
a difficult journey. And so to have that mentorship, I think we
Yeah.
were talking and we didn't develop this thought apprenticeship in theater. That idea of, yes, training costs, but the idea of training goes back to being able to work at a theater and watch people practice their craft and join in.
Mhm.
That's valuable as well. And the idea of people who are in the craft being able to bring the others along, it's
Yeah.
really integral. And I just think that's wonderful. I just think that
Yeah,
whole
there
search
were
is
some
awesome.
children's theater programs that I got invited to perform in because of Lox. Like one of the students at LACHSA was also doing outside of school these like children's theater productions where they would have like four people playing each part, right? So you would play
Mm-hmm.
the part of the
Yes.
lead, and then the next four shows you were like, the person who brought the bakery in.
Yeah.
It was like a
That's awesome.
rotation,
Yeah.
and I remember being like, it sucks that I'm not singing the songs today, but it was also like I did learn how to like do other things, and that really was pretty helpful to you know seeing that it's a team effort, and also knowing that there's other parts of the play
Hmm.
that you could be a part of for
Yeah.
sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, when you got to NYU, did you feel like it was a huge difference? Like, were there ever any moments? I know for me, there was moments where I'd be standing in a movement room, like dressed in black, clapping the negativity out of the space or something, or trying to get out of a bubble in movement class. Were there moments
Yeah.
where you were just like, I can't believe I'm getting a degree for this? You
No,
went to
because it was
Tisch, right?
like right from the start. The program that I went to was very like. I mean, the academics were very serious. Like you were in like full on NYU courses. You're like, oh, I have. Well, I remember when I got there. I'd gotten just enough money for the plane ticket and like my sheets. For the dorm room. And they were like, "Oh, you still owe this amount of money." So it was like all this like campaigning to try to get more money and try to get more whatever. But my first week of class, I'm getting there and they're like, "All right, well, so these are all the books you need." And when I was like, "Oh shit, I have to buy books?" And then I get to the bookstore and each book was like $300, 150,
Yeah.
and there was like a bunch of books you needed. And I
Yeah.
was just like, "How I you know what? Somebody should have told me about that." But I was going to that bookstore that was for the university, and I was just like, "Oh my god, how is this gonna?" So I had to do a lot of like maneuvering and like, how am I going to do this? Some of the courses gave you photocopy of that specific lesson, or you could go to the library and find that book and read. I spent a lot of time that first year in the library before I could afford those first books. So it was a lot of like just discovering and getting work study and trying to just make it happen for yourself.
Yeah.
Mm.
One of the things I definitely, as you described that, because my training specifically for acting was in grad school, and the difference between those of us who either had to work and pursue, and especially when you graduated, if you had a little bit more support
Mhm.
to still take the classes or audition more, or there is a marked difference between uh the difficulty level. It's not impossible, Mr. Michael Longoria. Clearly, it's not impossible, but there is a
Well,
difference. And recognizing that as well is,
yeah. I mean, sometimes I do have like, sometimes I'll get in my head and be resentful about certain aspects of like those first few years, like when I would have to go to my job at Pier 1, for example, show people boxes from India or these exotic plants that they would, because Pier 1 is all these like fabulous, like
mm,
different things from different parts of the world. And then like having to like really quickly rehearse my lines and just jump on stage and kind of like, present the scene,
knowing
when I
that you
know a lot
didn't
of
have
kids were
that.
able to just like chill and like rehearse their stuff and kind of like, let me think about what I want to sing, and I would have to like just show up and like, that, that was like, that makes me mad sometimes. But then at the same time, I realize that's kind of like what the business is now. You show up and you have to like go the entire five scenes of your character. You have to sing all the songs and be, you know what I mean? Like that. Like,
Hmm.
oh,
Wow.
you get the
So it's
calls
just gotten
today. We
harder.
want you. We want you to have this whole package ready to
Mm,
present to people next week.
hmm.
You're like,
See, and at the end of the day,
And be
that
able
was
to
what
take
was
it
difficult.
yourself.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And it's a lot like those days that I would be resentful about. It's like, okay, well, maybe it helped me. Having
Mm,
those difficulties, having to be somebody who hustled, has helped me to kind of just like be able to, throw it out. and
What is
instant like
that like
that.
combating like the industry now though? It's like I know for me it was one of my biggest challenges was, having to show up at an audition and sing two different contrasting 16 bars and then
Right.
also, do two different dance numbers and
You're
then
like double
also learn a
pirouette to the right
monologue
and
and
to
do
the
a
left.
scene. And I'd be like, wow. And then you didn't get the job, and you'd be like, wow, I spent like a whole day and a half here and that was like
Hmm.
for nothing. It's like, so you're saying like it's gotten even harder really nowadays. They're
Well,
like,
meaning like when you finally do get the opportunity, it's like they want you to present the entire play, so you're spending like hours and hours like rehearsing it yourself by yourself, thinking, what am I going to wear? How am I going to do this? You show up and then they're like, okay, we just want to see the scene too.
Mm.
You're like,
And you've got the whole world in your mind.
you've already spent like 3 days,
jeez.
basically full-time job working to try to make so sure you're going to be fabulous. And they want to see that one scene.
So this
So
is like before
that
you've even gotten the part. This is
Yeah.
unpaid. You're still
And
just
no, that's you,
auditioning.
and that's you not even getting it. That's you, that them being like, "Thank you." You're like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and you're like, "I just
I
spent how
remember when
many
they'd
days of
send
my life?"
like one little scene and be like, memorize this scene, and then be
Yeah,
offended when I'd walk on stage with a paper. Now you've got to know all that stuff. Oh my gosh.
yeah, yeah. I mean, well, sometimes they say, "Oh, you won't get extra credit if you don't have the paper in your hand." Okay, and then you have the paper in your hand, and then you look like you don't know the part. So you know what I mean? It's like it's a
Yeah.
double,
Double-edged
yeah, it's
sword.
sword.
Hmm.
Yeah,
So
So, oh, sorry.
sorry, go ahead. No,
So
please.
much of what you talked about, you and forgive the therapy speak, but you seem to have a great ability to reframe. Like whatever it
Uh,
is, you even when you go and you say that what I might be angry about that I had to go through, that might have given me a better understanding of now what it's like. Or there's a couple of things you've said throughout that it's like it's how you frame that for yourself. Why it has
mhm,
continued on in a positive as opposed to maybe a different way. And I think that's great.
yeah.
Where does that come from?
Well, I mean, no, there's definitely like yeah, there's definitely like anger and resentment you have sometimes, like when you don't get responded to. Like
Mhm.
you have your agents or your managers like call about a part that you really, really think you're right for, and you really think you should do it, and you already like I've already played on Broadway before, right? So it should be you'd think easy to get an appointment for like an audition, and
Mhm.
sometimes they will not respond, and that's just the part of the showbiz, right? The part of the
Mhm.
joy, though, the thing that you learn about art in New York or art in general is that, like, if you do it yourself, that's when you're really going to be able to control the quality of it, and you'll be able to really showcase yourself the way you want to be showcased.
Mhm.
All these parts on Broadway or in anything that we audition for, they're asking you to be like, we want you to be this person, right? So if it's a waitress in the show waitress, we want you to be this girl from so and so place from this, so you show up in your waitress outfit and your little bun and you're trying to be the waitress, right? What you think that they think is, whatever. When you start to create it yourself, it's like, well, what do I want to sell? What story do I want to do? What catalog do I want to sing?
Mhm.
And those moments are the ones that are more joyful. They don't make any money necessarily, but they are the ones that that fill up all of our. I mean, for me at least, because I'm a lonely guy in New York, but those projects fill up my time in a very positive way and keep me singing my heart out in my apartment, learning new material when I'm actually choosing what I want to do, as opposed to, hey, there's an audition for Olaf and Frozen at wherever theater, and there you are. I'm thinking, well, what do they want? What kind of Frosty the Snowman? You start to you start to try to like envision with somebody else, and ultimately it's out of your control. Like they already have what they think, and when you walk in, it's either you or not, you know if you
Mm.
get to walk in, you
Yeah.
yeah.
know if they
Well, I
even
mean,
see
how do
yourself
you
tape.
combat? I mean, or how do you deal with that? That like you
i
seem to
mean
have a really good head on your shoulders. The
i mean
fact
i'm
that
i'm totally
there's a
acting right
lot of
now, so
rejection.
like don't believe anything that I mean.
I mean, one time I saw an interview with Sia, and she talked about why she wears the wig and that she found fame and success to
Yeah.
be a little bit, mentally destabilizing. And I really kind of could
Mm.
understand and relate with that mentally destabilizing kind of thing because not in the aspect I think of like people recognizing you, but I just mean all the rejection, all the, for some people like myself, I have such a, like a insecurity, I guess you could say, about like, being liked. So how do you deal with that rejection that comes along with being a performer?
I mean, for the self-tape world, you just have to, like, give it, like, literally, like, spend all that time, have your ups and downs, like, "Oh, I can't believe I'm learning all this material." They're like, "Okay, fine, I gotta learn this material." So then you commit to it, and then you literally, I mean, I have fun doing the self tapes. It takes a long time for me to really get the right thing that the right take or the right sound if it's a song. But once I'm proud of it, it's like, all right, I'm cool. These are the takes that I want to send, and then you have to really let it go. You have to really be
Mm,
like, you know what? I did my best. These are hot ass videos, and bam, and then hope for the best. And most times you will not hear it. You will not hear a word.
mm.
But one time recently, I got called in for you guys are gonna laugh, for the old millionaire man from some like it hot. It was the tours like a year ago, and it was from a self tape, and I was like, what? Like I was shocked. Like they said, oh yeah, they want to see you from your tape. I was like, okay. I was literally like, what on earth? So I got to the um actual building, and I was like, this feels weird because I hadn't been, in tape in person in a while. And
Mhm.
the girl was like, "Oh my God, I'm so happy to bring you in. I just loved your self tape." I was like, "Okay." And I went in there, and I was just thinking like, I'm not gonna get this right because it's this like old like man, it's like no millionaire, or he talks like this. And I did my best, but I was like, it's silly that I'm even trying to play this part, at that time. But I was grateful for the audition, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah, I love that. I love when that happens. I also
Yeah,
love when
you
Lola
get certain
joins our
moments.
interview.
Do you get
Well, I want to talk a little bit about because I know I've just been talking so much about so much. This has been really good, but I want to talk a little bit about where, like what you're doing now, but also like what brought you to there. So, like after NYU, is that when your big break was sort of like getting into hairspray?
Well, I was waiting tables at the singing waiter place called Ellen's
Oh
Stardust
yeah.
Diner,
Yeah.
which is all 50s and 60s music, right? So unknowingly, I was preparing for my hairspray audition because hairspray is all that 60s pop, So I was singing Run Around Sue, like already like getting practice every single day. It was hard work, but it also kind of gave me a fearlessness because you're like there at Times Square, and like there are a bunch of strangers. You get up and you're like, I'm gonna sing my butt off here, and you like, and then I'm gonna get you your Coke. So you know what I mean? So like it was, but I was, but I'm also like 19, 20 years old, so like it's fine. Okay, like don't know any better. But when I got my audition for Hairspray, it was for the national tour. They were looking for, but they're trying to get people that look like the people who did the original. And the original was only open like very short time. Like they knew it was a hit right away, right? This is before they won the Tony Award. So I got the call when I was waiting tables. Hey, you're gonna be the swing, which I was like, because that's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of people to cover for the national tour. It was great. So I was excited about it, right? About like a week or two later, they say, "Hey, we got a call from the Broadway company, and the guy that you're going to be on the road is taking a 2-week leave of absence. They thought maybe you'd want to get a head start if you want to, make your Broadway debut." And I was like, they were very casual about it. Like, yeah. So then I trained. It was just me and the dance captain. Like it was a hot summer. It was the day after they won the Tony Award. I think it was Tonys are in the summertime, right after
Mhm.
summer. I was in Los Angeles watching them on TV win the Tony Award, and I was like, I'm about to start rehearsals for this. So then I get there, and yeah, I learned the show, and I had 2 weeks of rehearsal, right? And they were like, okay, so it's all about segregation, right? So there's the white cast and there's the black cast, and they're like, okay, so the two white guys over here, these guys are the guys that call out all the time. You're gonna have to make sure you study these two guys. I was like, oh, okay. So I'm there like studying these two guys, right? Oh, one of these guys, maybe in the 2 weeks that I'm here on contract, get to go on. So then it was my first day that I was supposed to be the swing. And they're like, hey, just so you know, Dwayne called out, it's the girl of Dwayne. It was one of the African American guys. And you're the one who's supposed to go on for this track. And I was like, uh, you mean the one we haven't learned yet? It was that. Like, because they told me to learn the other two guys, right? So it's like, uh-huh. So then it was like, all right, let's go. So like I'd learned the dances, right? But I'd never had to put in or anything or for any of the parts. And the dance captain just like, all right, so on this number you're gonna answer here. But it was like very fast.
No put in rehearsal, nothing. You
No put
just
in. No put in. People were telling there was one moment in the Motormouth dance break where you're supposed to have a dance partner, right? And I was like, oh, this is we didn't think about this. I was like, who am I supposed to dance with? And it was about to go, we're going, oh God, who is it? Who is that? And then we're like going. And then my my friend was like, go to Judine. And I was like, who is Judine? I had, you know, 'cause I didn't know anybody yet. I was rehearsing with the dance captain. I had
Heck
never
is
like
that?
rehearsed. And then sure enough, Judine was the tallest girl in the chorus. She came up and grabbed me because it was like you grab each other and start to like, you know, do a dance. And that, I mean, I can't believe it happened, but it happened. I remember afterwards, I was like, I need to get a margarita. We all,
That
like
kind of
all of
stress
us
and
in the
pressure would
cast,
put,
were
yeah,
like,
I would pass out in the middle of the show.
I couldn't
That would
believe that
drive
I
me,
survived it, but I knew after that it would never be that hard because like that
yeah.
was terrifying. But you know, that's a Broadway debut. There you go.
Trial by
Yeah.
fire. That is
Yeah,
I
awesome.
but so
mean,
what ended up happening was after that, after my or during my 2 weeks, they say, "Hey, we need you to come into the office." Oh, okay, I'm like, "Oh God, am I in trouble? Like, what happened?" And they said, so the guy that you are on the vacation swing for, just gave us notice, and you know you're gonna make more money on the road, but if you want to stay on Broadway, we'd love to keep you here. And I was like, yeah, thanks. So that I never went on the national tour. I stayed and, you know, I was there for like 2.5 years.
and the rest is history.
And the rest is history with hairspray.
I mean, and the thing is, you've had such a really, extensive professional career. You've done a lot of stuff. I was looking over your bio, but I gotta say, one of the things that cracks me up and I wanted to ask you about is that you did West Side Story and A Chorus Line at LACHSA, but then you went on and did them again professionally. What was that like?
Yes.
That must have been funny. You'd already done one of the roles, right? Mark, it was a different role in West Side
All
Story
the
that you
above.
played, but
No, the first one was West Side Story in college. It was like during spring break they had auditions my freshman year. And it was for like for summer jobs. And you know, I was very like gun ho. I was like, let me go to every audition I can. I was into dance. I was like, you know, Double Pirouette, Cats, all these. You know, it was the years of West Side Story and a Chorus Line. They were producing them a lot in Europe, and I don't know how it happened. The dates were perfectly aligned with my summer break, so
oh,
that you know, like if I were to get it, I would be able to do it and come back to sophomore year and with no problem, right? So it was the original choreography that Miss Hunter from LACHSA taught me, right? So we
Nice.
learned it as in high school. We looked. So
oh, that's
I
right.
already
I
knew
forgot
every
about that.
every single step I had already done. I was Baby John at LACHSA, right? So we go to this thing and everybody's like Broadway dancers. Everybody's like way taller than me. Everybody's white guy. Everybody's like buff, right? And I'm just like 19-year-old kid in college. And I'm like, you know, and I probably looked out of place in a good way because they offered me the role of Baby John
Baby
in
John, yeah,
that
you were the,
show.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
like my first professional gig was what I learned from LACHSA, you know, again, the importance of having people teach you things, you
Hmm.
know, when you're not offered them normally in the world. Like I'd never really known about what West Side Story on stage would feel like or look like, but there I was in high school doing it, you know. So like
Hmm.
I had that confidence going to the room. I looked really young because I was, you know, all these people were professional people, and I was like, hey, and there I was. We went to La Scala, Milan, Italy, and we were there
Wow.
doing during West Side Story, these huge houses, you know. It was an amazing experience. I wish I could have it again now, knowing that like, oh wait, you're in Europe. Like enjoy it more. You know, I was going to McDonald's and like getting super sized meals, you know, instead of like going to the cafes and like, you know, as a 19-year-old, those were my comforts. But it was an amazing experience. But it was all I had a little bit of an advantage because of LACHSA for sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, but it's still, it's one of those things where people say like, there's luck or you're in the right place or the right time. But, as someone who, sort of trained with you back in the beginning, I just think that you were definitely one of those people that were destined for certain things because you were always putting yourself in the right place at the right time. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
were always staying on top of it and you were always motivated and you were always going in that direction. So it's just, I always have respect for people who've been doing it for decades now, who've just maintained staying in the business because I know it's a tough business.
Mm.
Do you feel you've had, being a person of color, do you feel you watched things change at all? Or like, did it, How did it start out, and how has it progressed to now?
I mean, it's evolving. They've had a few. I mean, I don't know. Everybody's different. Every show. Once you're here in the professional world, every show has their own group of people that are running it, right? So it's really is their own culture that just determines what they put out, what
Mhm.
message they want to say, and also what message they think is going to make money. Because ultimately, once you're in a commercial space, it's all about getting the tickets, right? So
Mhm.
I've seen a few opportunities to audition for things that wouldn't be there before, but it still is tough. You
Yeah.
still have to, um, right now, at least the past like 10 years, it's been very more like realistic. We grew up and they're like, oh, we can act and perform and be whoever we want, any character, any race, any from any town, any accent,
Mhm.
straight or gay. And now
Very
it's not that.
colorblind casting.
Yeah, now it's
Do you
very like,
feel like
oh,
Broadway
okay, so
is
then
getting
you're
more
gonna
into
play the gay
colorblind
part.
casting, or do you?
I don't think anybody's
Oh,
colorblind casting anymore. You know what I mean? Like if it is, it's like,
hmm.
oh, look at us, we're colorblind casting. You know what I mean? They make it a
Mhm.
statement as opposed to like just giving somebody of color the opportunity and like letting it be and like, oh wow, look at how talented this person is, who's also a person
Mhm.
of color. It's like we got the first black so and so in the show. You know what I mean? It's like yeah, you should have 10 years ago. You know what I mean? That kind of thing is
Yeah.
is happening where it's a lot of like touting, like they want to tout about it, but they're not just doing. Like let it just do and we will see you're doing. You know what I mean? Um, I would love more opportunities myself, but in this business specifically, I get a lot of like, yeah, I still get the whole character anything you would expect a Latin guy to get,
Mhm.
like the Latin millionaire part, for example, that I was telling you about, who was in his later 50s, you know, uh, I put myself on tape for the father of the Mexican girl in Real Women Have Curves. And then I went to see the show, and again they cast, somebody who looked like he wasn't a little old man, but they put him with gray hair and gray mustache. I was like, okay, that's what I was auditioning for. Like, I'm not right for that. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so I know that there will come a part maybe or not. And if not, like what I'm doing in the meantime is creating my own work, like recording my own
Mhm.
albums, which is drawing concert work where I get to go into different towns and sing for people. And that is part of being an artist as well, as like not just the Broadway part that you are chained to for a year, but it's like creating an album or doing a show at 54 Below or doing a smaller show at Green Room 42, these little spots where there's like 100 seats and you're probably not going to make any money, but you're going to put yourself out there and you're going to learn all these new songs. And, you know, if you're lucky, 20 to 40 people will show up. You know what I mean? Like that's the reality. And 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 you'll get surprised when 80 people show up and you're like, oh shit, okay.
Okay.
I guess the word got out. Okay. Yeah. But, like,
Well,
those
you
moments are far and few between, and most of the times you're, like, you're singing to not an empty room, but, like, a room of a few people.
Mhm.
After spending all the money for the band.
you segued perfectly into something I wanted to bring up, which was I wanted to show everybody this, if you don't mind, for just a
Yes.
second.
Kiss me like they do in the movies, like you won in the last row. Come on, let's go. You have to show me now. I want you to touch me like they do in the last scene, like your touch was the only way your heart could let me know that you never let me go. Just like the movies, but you just let me go. Just like the
What's that like? You
That was
making
me.
like your own?
Yeah, singing. Oh, no. Um,
No, so like, what is the so you
so
like
I
how,
wrote
what
that
album was
song.
that? Because
I wrote that song when I was going through like this breakup where I was basically pleading like, and again, like in reality, you can't really make things happen, but like with relationships, if it's over, it's over. But the notion or the idea behind the song was like, kiss me like they do in the movies. So that like so that I know that's real, and then the lyrics to the song, it's kind of like describing what these romances could look like, but in a gay way. Because I was talking about you'll be James Dean and I'll be Sal Mineo. You know, those guys weren't gay. I mean, Sal Mineo was gay, but James Dean wasn't, right? So if those two were
debatable,
in a
but
love story, right? But if those two were in a love story, what would that look like if it was in the movies? And so that was kind of like the idea of the song. It was also to promote my movie album, which was all like love songs of movies from the 80s and 90s. You know, I Will Always Love You, the Titanic song,
so
stuff like that.
how many albums have you done?
I'm on my fifth solo album, but I've done like a few of
Jeez.
like other group ones. Like I've done like my Midtown Men show, which is the Jersey Boys guys. We've done two, and then I've done a few like other group things. Like I'm on the original cast album of the Jersey Boys and The View Upstairs,
Nice.
Yeah,
which has
because
been
you
fun.
started out. So just to touch base then on the Midtown Men as well, like you started out in Jersey Boys playing Joey, which is that Joe
Joe Pesci at 16.
Pesci? Yeah, I love that. I love that.
Yes. And I literally would press my hair up like myself. I think now, why didn't they have a hair person do this? You know, but I literally would be sitting there for like an hour, like, zzz, you know, my curly hair like straightening that shit to get this like big old flat top. You see the pictures, like depending on the show, like it was either up or was like, you know, falling to the side. But yeah, no, I played a 16-year-old
Were
version
you
of Joe
always
Pesci.
the understudy for
I was the
Frankie
first
Valli?
understudy, and then the first year they promoted me to the matinee Frankie.
Wow, that's really
So I
awesome.
got to
That's
do it
incredible.
twice a week officially. Then so I was at night, and they did give me the option. They asked me, they said, "Do you want? We want you to play the part twice a week, but equity because your part at the moment, Joe Pesci was an ensemble character, so it's a pink contract versus a white contract. And they were like, they won't allow you to play. They won't give you two contracts at the same time. So, like, what do you want to do? Do you want to?" And I was like, well, if I could, because it was at the time, it was like it just opened, like all these celebrities were coming to see it. And I just thought, if I'm only on the show twice a week, like all these other people might miss me on stage, right? Like playing even Joe Pesci was a
Yeah.
great feature, but I also had a whole ensemble track. So they said, okay, well, what if we, you know, go to Equity and ask them to make an exception? So then Equity came back and said, well, if you can promote him as Joe Pesci to a principal contract, then he can play Joe Pesci at night and play Frankie Valli in the matinee in the same show, but he can't do any of the ensemble duties. So they hired somebody to basically replace all of my ensemble track. So I would play Joe Pesci at night and then do Frankie Valli in the matinee. It was a very specialized, like once in a
Yeah.
lifetime. The guy after me didn't get this opportunity, so I was very grateful that like they let me do it. But now I'm like, I should have just done it twice a week. That would have been so much easier. But no,
I mean, you talk about whistle notes, Mike, and that's a part and a half to sing.
it's a big
Like, I
thing.
don't
You're
know,
right.
like,
It's a big
yeah, I
thing.
was like, wow, like that's like intense. So more power to you for not. And by the way, just so you know, only about 1 in 250, according to ChatGPT, only about 1 in 250,000 people will ever be on Broadway, and
Oh,
only 1 in over 2 million will ever play a lead on Broadway.
wow.
So you're in like a really small group of people. There's like 100 of you or something.
Oh
I
my
don't do math.
gosh.
Let's not go back and do that. But yeah. So kudos to
ChatGPT
you.
lies
That's like,
sometimes though.
yeah, like
I asked
I
him
asked them to like,
for
make it sound really good. So we are getting super close. But before I go, I do want to say like, that's what you're doing now then. You're doing your own music, your own concerts. You still touring with the Midtown Men?
still touring with the
What
Midtown
exactly is the
Men.
Midtown Men?
Yeah, I just finished recording a completely original songs album, all songs that I wrote. And I also recorded at the same time Beach Boys album, a solo Beach Boys album. That's coming out first in April. It's
Oh, I
called
love
Catch a
that.
Wave. And it's all like my favorite Beach Boys tunes, kind of like, you know, reclaimed in my version. And then eventually I'll release my original songs. But we're gonna do the Catch a Wave first. But it's all self, you know, self-dreamt, you know, how am I gonna do it? How am I gonna produce it? What studio do I want to go to? Who are the musicians I want to get? You know, you really have to drive the bus in order to get to the ending finish line, you know? Because at the end of the day,
I
especially
mean, that
for
seems
the
like so
art,
much work. Yeah.
nobody cares but you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you have to
Yeah.
really care about it. And if you care about it, somebody out there will eventually find it and then care about it and connect with it. But as far as making it happen, usually, unless they're making money from you, they're not going to care to, oh, great, go ahead and do whatever you're going to do. You have to really be like the driving spirit behind whatever artistic expression it is. And if it's not going to make any money, you have to know, this is not going to make any money, and that's okay. Like,
Do
I'm
you
gonna.
actually, just before I forget, do you think because you have like multiple skills, do you think being a dancer really is like, because I know Hairsprays, that ensemble is a dancey show,
Well, I
like,
think
and
I
you're
think
an
having that
amazing triple
training,
threat.
the training got opened the door to equity, to getting my equity card at an early age, and it was through chorus line actually, because I learned chorus line at LACHSA, and the opening number
And
that
can
we
we
have.
just say, I know we just have glossed over it a few times. Wasn't that like an incredible experience being at a high school where we were learning? I mean, we did a
Yeah.
chorus line with Erica Gudez, who she taught us the original choreography
Mhm.
from the show because she'd been on tour with it and on Broadway.
Yeah.
You're talking about Miss Hunter. I remember her teaching us the choreography to The Wiz, the Welcome to Emerald
Yes.
City kind of thing from
Oh
The
my God.
Wiz, because she'd
Yes.
been in that movie.
Everybody's
She taught
chicken.
you the choreography to West Side Story. So I remember I don't know if you remember this, but we took a master dance class with Hinton Battle.
Yes,
Do
that
you
was
remember the
life
Hinton Battle
changing.
Masterclass?
That was life
It was
changing.
amazing. That class, I still think about that. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention that, like, you don't get that opportunity in everyday schools,
I
and we
hope
were
I
really
hope
lucky for
LACHSA
that.
still has that. Like, I'm sure they do. Like, but those moments were really magical at the time. Like seeing people that were on Broadway or in the touring show of Miss Saigon that was in town, and seeing these people that were doing what you could possibly do one day. And like kind of spending time with you, teaching you something original, like the choreography of West Side Story or Chorus Line. That was magical. And if more people got that opportunity, that would be pretty awesome.
Hey everyone. With everything going on in the world right now, we know how vital it is to keep the arts alive. And that's really what Loxapalooza is all about. In celebration of the 40th anniversary, the LACHSA Foundation is presenting Loxapalooza, a benefit arts and music festival on May 30th at the Greek Theater. All proceeds support the LACHSA Foundation and its mission to advance the exemplary arts education programs at the Los Angeles County High School for the Arts, serving 550 student artists every year across Los Angeles County. One night, one mission, $2.5 million for LACHSA's future. This incredible night will feature interactive art and performances from LACHSA's award-winning alumni, including Uli Bella from Ozo Motley, John B., and multi-Grammy Award nominees Gretchen Parlato and Gerald Clayton, along with Afro Unicorn founder April Showers, and additional special guests to be announced. We've been lucky enough to feature some of these incredible artists on the podcast, and now they'll be joining us live at Loxapalooza. So get your tickets now on Ticketmaster, and don't forget to check out their podcast episodes. Come support the arts and be part of something truly meaningful. So if people want to find out more about you or see what you're up to, they can find. Are you still doing the Midtown Men, right?
Still do the Midtown Man. I'm creating this new show for my Catch a Wave album. Still toying around with the name for the actual show, but it's going to be songs from the album, obviously, but also other Beach Boys songs that'll fill the timeline. I'm working on that. The next month and a half, I'm working on creating the show that I'm performing on April 11th for people. Who knows who's going to be there? We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm planning
But
on
we
like
could check out,
doing.
like, what, your Facebook, or is there like a
You could
website or
go
something?
Michael Longoria Sings on Instagram. You can find out most of the stuff there. Yeah, that's in
Nice.
April. You'll be able to download Catch a Wave on iTunes. So yeah, that'll be exciting.
Before we go, I have a couple quick things, but there's somebody that we interviewed the other day that you may remember, and she wanted to ask you a question as well that we thought we might throw in there before we say goodbye.
Mike, you have to come back.
So yeah, I would love to.
Okay.
Michael,
Yes.
looking back now, what did time teach you that talent never could?
Oh, that's deep.
It's a
The
thinker. It's a
Matrix
deep
is
one, right?
real. I'm just kidding.
I saved it for the end.
What has time taught me that talent couldn't? Huh. Well, there's a beauty in the talent, right? As at a young age and being innocent and like kind of exploring without the world of commerce and not worrying about having to make a living at it. There's a beauty with the self-expression you discover in art through your talent. But later down the line, like, it becomes more of a battle, I think, it's a politics game, right? To get seen, to be friendly with people, to have them like you, all the different games you have to there's a lot of different games you have to play, that don't always work. Sometimes they do, but they don't always work. Um, which is a social game, and like, some of us, like me, I'm more of an introvert, which is probably hard for you to believe because I've been very open with you guys. But when I do have a moment to be open, I'm very open. I'm almost too open. But most of the time, I'm not. So in this social game world, someone like me has a harder time because I don't want to ever be fake. I don't ever want to, like, "Hey, I saw you were at the concert of Ragtime, and I'd love to have coffee." But those kind of things are things that I hear you're supposed to do in order to kind of like keep the conversation going.
Networking. Yeah.
But for somebody like me, like from LA, like I'm just like, I just cannot be phony baloney. So I've realized that in those moments where I find people that I connect with for real, that are real, and I actually open my heart to, and then they also happen to be in the arts, then it's like, oh, okay, that's magic. Okay, this works, and that's very far and few between. So,
Mm.
but I'm sure there's going to be more opportunities to make those kind of connections. But I'm just really trying to like balance not being fake, because then at the end of the day, if you're fake and you start a relationship in this weird fake way, then you have to kind of keep that fakeness going, and you got to keep this false person or false interest, and like, oh my god, I saw that you were celebrating your so and so's birthday, like that's just false to me, unless you really care about that person, or unless you're like, oh wow, that's, I really connect with you because of X, Y, and Z. So I don't know if that's a wise way to be, because obviously it makes the opportunities harder to come by. But when they do happen, it's like, oh, this is special because this person's cool, and they see me.
That's a serious wisdom because the converse can happen as well.
Yeah.
The same thing as you described it is how I've often felt about it. And conversely, when you are genuine with people, they are always looking for something underneath because they are so often dealing
Right.
with fake people. So then you almost feel the genuine thing you have to give is devalued or not safe in
Right.
that environment. So it's a wonderful way that you've managed to keep those qualities, and even as you describe them, not be disenchanted and to keep pushing forward and sharing your art. It's just amazing.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, we're coming down to the end, winding down. Gone so like, no, this is longer than we normally do, but you've been really
I
interesting. So it
know.
was really
It's been
like
lovely
we
chatting
couldn't
with you
stop
guys.
picking your brain. But before we go, I like to do this little thing. It's sort of a throwback to, it's a little Inside the Actors Studio-esque, if you ever used to watch that. But we're going to do a little rapid fire question and answer session.
Is there a Plead the
Only about
Fifth?
10 questions. It's nothing too crazy, but you don't have to take too long thinking about it. Just think the first thing that comes to mind. But I'll edit out any long pauses. All right, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. What's a sound that you love?
My rain sounds, sleep sounds at night.
Second that. I love it. What sound do you hate?
What do I hate? I don't know. Oh, you know what? There's a building that has been going up across the street. Been hating hearing the drilling. That sucks.
Construction?
Yeah, New
I
York
know. It
City,
feels like it.
yeah. It's never complete. Everywhere you go, there's always scaffolding. There's always somebody building something. They were breaking up and resealing and breaking up and resealing the street. I thought it was like, is this a training ground for people that I'm teaching them how to do it? Because like they kept doing it over and over and over. I didn't realize like why. But, like that's pretty annoying, but it's something you
It's
deal
just
with.
a smash lab for your anger.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like, what
right.
is going on at 7 a.m.? Yeah.
Oh my God, no! I am
New
that
York
Karen
for
that will
ya.
call the city. So, well, what's your favorite curse word?
I don't know. Maybe, is hell a curse word?
It works. It works. What profession would you not like to do?
Anything that takes something away from someone, you know? Like I used to see those like
Anything that what?
that takes something away from people. Like I used to see those like like scenes from banker movies where they're like, "Sorry, we're not approving the loan," or like, Anything that would like make
So
somebody bring somebody pain, like I would not want to have to be a part of anything like that. Like any kind of job that was like, sorry, you have to deliver this horrible news, anything
you're
like
not going
that.
to anybody's houses to yank out
Yeah,
their
like,
children or
no.
anything. um, let's see. Okay, so what is the best advice you've ever received?
I don't know. The best advice. I mean, just different. I've gotten advice. I mean, different things that, not the best advice, but one of the things that were with funny advice. Frankie Valli told me once, at the end of dawn, no vibrato. So, or, so I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, yeah." So then the next time I was like, very, very straight. So that was kind of funny advice.
I
And
love that though.
my dad told me when I got to New York, like when I was a young, like I think I got here at 17. He was like, don't look at anybody in the eye and just look straight ahead. Don't look up and down like you're a tourist." And I was like, okay. And I think for like several years, and maybe even now, because like people, sometimes will be like, say something, like, but they're probably saying, "Help me! I need advice." I just keep going straight. I don't listen. Sometimes I'll stop if it's somebody that I could tell like really needs like directions or something. For the most part, if people talk to me or come up
You
to
are
me
a
on the
true New
street,
Yorker.
I don't. I'm like, I don't speak English. Do not talk to me. Like silence. And then I just will not. And then if they're, yeah, just because I don't know. I think it's a survival instinct. You
Yeah,
don't.
for sure, especially in New
Yeah.
York.
And everybody, why are you stopping me on the street? What do you want? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like you want something. So no
I
thanks.
know, right? I'm busy. What's a
Okay, as the
movie
girl
you
from
could
Brooklyn, I just have to say, we can tell when you really need help, and we will help you
Exactly. You're
unless you
right.
full
You're
of
right.
Yeah.
fuckery.
In New York,
Okay,
yeah, especially. You know what's
I'm gonna
funny
leave it to you.
though? What's funny is when you're on the subway and somebody's like, well, yeah, does this go uptown or does this go to something? And then you hear somebody giving them the wrong stop. You're like, oh
Information.
no, they're gonna go somewhere far. They're not gonna, you know what I mean? And you kind of want to step in, but
you want
some
to help but you don't?
but you're
But
like,
you get in there.
I don't want to contradict you, but that's Staten
But
Island.
Those are your friends. Sorry. Make better choices.
Yeah.
Oh, so
No,
what's
I
a
think
movie
so.
you
That
could
was some good
watch
advice.
endlessly?
What were we gonna say?
Yeah. What's a movie you could watch endlessly?
Sister Act and Sister Act 2.
Uh,
mm,
But
yeah.
I think Sister Act Part 1, even though I love Part 2 because I related to it because it was during our high school time, Sister Act 1 is classic. Like, I saw that one over, and I could quote it verbatim. Any nun. I could be any nun.
Those were the first albums I ever bought. Whitney Houston, The Bodyguard, and Sister Act 1.
Yep.
Those are the first
I
albums.
bought
I
my
love
mom
them.
I think it was for Christmas. I bought her the VHS of Sister Act. And, at the time, you'd have a few VHSs at home. You pop that in. We wore that out.
Okay, so how would you like to be remembered?
Gosh. Think for my music, for my albums, because my albums are really my un undirected, unedited. Nobody else told me what to do or say or choose or sing. All those actual studio albums that I've done really are my heart and are when you hear my voice on them, especially like the movie album that I was going through like some crazy, as we all do, horrifying life altering things, losing people, getting divorced, like a bunch of crazy stuff was happening. So you can hear like the emotion in that album. I'm like, it's hard to listen to it sometimes, like, ooh, but
Mm.
but being able to like really put your true heart on a recording has been the biggest and best form of artistic expression for me that I've discovered. Beyond being on stage, beyond anything, is getting in that studio by yourself with an engineer and like giving your heart and soul and crying it out and being able to like emote and on pitch and then be able to like let it go and then have somebody like years later, oh my god, I heard this recording of you singing this song and it really made me want to sing or whatever. I've had a few moments like that where somebody has told me that and it's like I thought nobody heard that song. It says 5 streams and I'm 4 of them. You know what I mean? So it's like you don't know who your art is gonna reach. And for me, I've discovered that on that platform where I'm able to pay for it, you have to pay for it and produce it and do it yourself. When you're able to do that, then it's like a gift. It's like I want to be remembered for those artistic expression moments, and hopefully they'll
Yes.
bring joy for people. Hopefully they'll help somebody cry through something that they needed words
mhm.
for. Yeah, that's really, And I hope I make a whole bunch more albums because that's really where I have the most fun.
Yeah, you
Nice.
play some of the instruments as well, right?
Well, I mean, in the first one I did, and when I write, I do it through instruments. But like now, I've learned to hire the professionals for that. Like I'll be the vocalist, but like you know, I basically have found a group of people that I'm starting to use a few times over again, and it's a pretty cool vibe. So I'm kind of keeping them steady.
Nice.
You know, different people
Last
I've met.
two questions.
Yeah,
If you could live in any era of history, when would it be?
the future.
Really? You want to live in the
Yes.
future?
Well, everything's gonna be better then, don't you think? Like I mean, AI is gonna take care of everything. We're all gonna be like, so lazy, I mean,
I don't
okay,
know. I
so if I could
guess.
be
Yeah.
like a working singer, maybe a soloist in the 60s. Because though that music
Nice.
was fabulous, the time was not the best, but like in music, it was great, right? Music, people were
Yeah.
expressing themselves. If I wasn't a successful singer, I would not want to be there at 60. Don't take me there. Don't take me there. But yeah.
Finally, then, if heaven exists, what would you like God to say when you get there?
Hi.
You made it.
Hey.
Hey, welcome. Do you want another chance? I don't know, like, you know,
You want to do it all over again?
not all over again, but like, I feel like it would be nice if we could keep going and like try, different experiences and different evolutions of ourselves, different, that would be
Mhm.
nice if that's a thing. You go say hi, hey, nice to see you, check in. This is what you did right. This is what you did wrong. All right, go back and try again. And then all of a sudden you're in 2050. You're like, goo goo gaga. That would be nice. I don't know, but
Would you do an arts high school all over again? I mean, would you tell anybody thinking about like getting into it? Would you say, yeah, do that? Or was it a
yeah,
good
I mean,
experience?
absolutely, it would be nice if arts was everywhere. But like, I also think having it be a place that you have to go to away from your community was special for me, maybe for you guys as well. It was like
Mhm.
a
Mm-hmm.
way to like go out of this box and all of a sudden you're in this like untamed world where everybody's not from the same place. So like we're all kind of
Mhm.
discovering, it's a good early learning experience just dealing with the world really because you kind of have to accept people for who they are in certain, I mean, again, our era. Who knows what it's like now,
Mhm.
but like when we were going there, it was like, okay, this is who this person is, and I'm doing a show with them, and like, who cares, It was
Mhm.
very like
Yeah.
that. Yet going home to people that did care, people that are like, you're in a show with what? You're doing what? It was two different worlds. But having that opportunity as a young person to discover that, oh wait, this other world exists. This other world where I can really develop who I am through art, which is the special
Mhm.
gift that we were born with, right? Like, or that we learned early on through art. We were able to really discover who we are, and without being supervised under the guise of the world of our parents. At least for me.
Mhm.
I don't know about y'all, but for me, that's how it was. It was like, okay, this
Mm.
is who I am. Like, yeah, you get to strut, down those LACHSA halls because you're going to do something
Yeah.
that you loved. You're going to be singing a song that day, or you were going to learn a dance that day, and it was really exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We went to, they have every year, LACHSA does a open house. I don't know. Open up everything to all the past alumni. And Maravik and I got to go, I think it was maybe a year ago.
2 years ago.
We walked through the State Playhouse and the
Oh
green
my
room
God, it's
and,
still
PA
there.
128 and the fifth floor. And we watched them do a dance class. And
Love that.
it was really emotional, just getting
Mhm.
to be in all of those places and feel all of that energy that was still there for me, and it was just, I felt so creative and so motivated. I mean, Maravik looked at me at one point. She was like, don't you just want to go out and make something now? Just create something. And I was like, I
Yes.
do. I feel like, it was a really magical place. Anyway, we've been talking for so long, Mike. I was so excited about doing this and getting the chance. It's been something like almost 30 years since we've
Don't
gotten to.
you tell. You better edit that out. Edit that out. No, I'm just kidding. Yes.
It's been almost
It's
8
been a
years
long
since we
time.
last saw each other in high school. And I really, I know that this is a leap of faith for you because we haven't posted a lot yet and we're still working on stuff. And I really, really, really am thankful and I appreciate
Hey,
you
any of the
coming and
opportunities to get
speaking
to
with
talk to you
us.
guys is great. So thank you for including
Yeah.
me. Congratulations on this
And
new venture. This is going to be really special to hear these stories, for
Wonderful
everybody.
And
meeting
you
you,
may
Michael.
not think
Thank
that
you.
you were popular, but you were like my first time ever coming up against or coming up against and coming up to meeting a triple threat. You were an actor, a singer, a dancer, but not only that, you had something didn't have, which was the ability to be nice to people. You were really a sweet guy
Was
and
I?
everybody
Oh my
liked you
gosh.
and you were really fun to be around. And that's why I think everybody genuinely loved you and why you were destined for such great
Oh,
things. And I'm so proud of you and happy for you.
thank you so much for saying that. That's
We
awesome.
love you, Michael.
I love you back.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Again,
Thank you so
Yes.
thanks.
much.
You ladies have anything else to say in closing?
I just want to say thank you. And I've watched you and followed you over the years and just, being part of your big life, like changes and stuff and just cheering you from behind. And, it was nice to be at the stage door and the ladies like,
Yeah.
Michael
It was
Longoria. I'm
so
like, I've
special
known
you
him
were
since
there.
high school. So,
Yeah, it's really crazy to see how far you've become. It's really awesome.
Thank you so
yeah.
much.
And it was
Become? How far
wonderful to
you've
meet
come. Far you've
how
come.
far you've come. And
Yes.
you are
And
a
what I've
wonderful
become. You're still.
I'm going to say there are so many points that you touched on. Honestly, like you could be the logo for the entire series because so much of what we think drama school training in the arts gives to young people, gives to people who are developing their sense of self, anyone. I
Oh,
think there's a reason why they don't want to fund it because the type of people that come from that kind of background, the kind of empathy that's required, critical thinking that's required is not necessarily what is best suited to the type of world that we see at the moment.
right.
So I
Yeah.
think that so as you use I know we can't keep talking, but when you talked about going from out of your parents, out of the patriarchal, you didn't use that word, but out of everybody in the family serves the will of the father
Mm,
or the parent,
right.
that's a huge thing to be able to break free of that and even understanding that and expressing that. I just loved speaking with you. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
just
Yeah.
sharing so much of yourself.
Thanks for giving me the space to talk about it. It's pretty awesome to be able to share those stories.
Thank
Amazing.
you.
I will be in touch and we will come and see you in New York as soon as we can. We'll
Yes.
have to have lunch sometime
Oh my
soon.
gosh, it's happening.
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
in.
I'm inviting
Yeah.
myself.
Yes, you're coming.
No,
You're
well, yeah.
coming. Absolutely.
Bye. Have a good day, you
All
guys.
right. Love you
Take care.
guys. Talk to
Bye.
you
Love you,
soon.
Bye, Michael.
Michael.
Hey, before you head out, do me a quick favor. Like, follow, and subscribe. It really does help. The more you engage, the more the algorithm pushes us out there, and the more people we can reach about why arts in education really does matter. If you or someone you know is thinking about an art school, check your local district's website or search Performing Arts High School or Arts Magnet Program. And don't forget your city. And if you're wondering, a magnet school is just a public school with a special focus like the arts. It pulls students from all over with programs you won't find in a regular school. And if you're ready to do even more, hit the link in the show notes for the Americans for the Arts Action Fund. They've got easy fill-in-the-blank templates so you can write your reps about funding the arts and actually make a difference. Thanks for listening, thanks for caring, and remember, keep creating, keep supporting, and we'll keep the spotlight shining on the arts together.